Portalmaster 93351 here, and in today's video, I wanted to talk about one of my brand new favorite games in review format, and that is Project, or not Project. I always want to call it Project because that was the starting title, but it's just actually Octopath Traveler. Seriously, guys, this game is absolutely amazing. From, like, the box art, you're focused on the thing, from the box art to the inside of the box, to the actual game itself, this game is very amazing, and I wanted to give you guys a quick little review for this game. Now, the first time I tried to shoot this video, it took me about 20 minutes because I could not stop talking about this game. So I'm going to try to cut this down a little bit and just give you guys a quick rundown on Octopath Traveler, the good, the bad, and give you a final consensus on just why I think this is such a great game. So without further ado, let's dive right in. The first thing that I wanted to talk about when it comes to Octopath Traveler is, no doubt, it's an innovative combat system. This is, without a doubt, one of my favorite combat systems that has ever been used in any turn-based RPG. Just to give you guys a quick rundown, as you can see over there, that is an in-game screenshot of an enemy. That is one of the bosses from one of the early chapters of Octopath Traveler. As you can see, there is a blue shield icon, and that signifies the number of times that you have to hit this guy with one of the weapons, which is represented on the squares beneath the shield, in order to break his defenses. Once you've broken his defenses, you'll be able to do massively more damage to him than you would should his shield be up. So basically, you have to play smart and not just go for raw damage potential. But what I love about this system is that not only does it encourage a lot of participation from all members of your party that you're playing with, but it allows you to set up some pretty ridiculous combos, allowing you to deal over 100,000 damage in a single turn. And honestly, I just love setting up massive combos in just about any game that I play, and so this game encouraging that is definitely a very big positive for me. And overall, the battle system is absolutely amazing and is definitely the highlight of this game when it comes, for me at the very least. But that being said, there are a lot of other amazing things about Octopath Traveler in my opinion. For starters, the gorgeous graphical style is absolutely amazing. I don't know any other way to put it. I mean, look at this. Look at this. The blend of pixelated retro art blended with the photorealistic water, the photorealistic fire, and other visual effects is absolutely gorgeous and is one of my favorite graphical designs for any game at all. And when I first saw this game, that was the first thing that stuck out to me. As soon as I saw the visual style of this game, I knew that I was going to have to look into this game a little bit more and at least give it a chance. And I am so glad I did. But to add to the gorgeous visual effect, it has a stunning soundtrack. Quite honestly, one of the best video game soundtracks that I've ever heard in my life. For the first time, I have actually considered buying the digital soundtrack for this game. It is really that good. I was sitting there on the couch playing Octopath Traveler, and my dad was in the kitchen listening to me play while he did some work in the kitchen. And while the soundtrack was on, my dad was like, wow, that sounds like something straight out of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the Narnia movies, you know? It's that good of a soundtrack. It sounds so great, and like I said, it's one of the best video game music soundtracks that I've ever heard in my entire life. So when you couple the visual style and the audio style together, it just creates a world unlike any other that I've ever seen in any other video game. Seriously, this is one of the best world-building games I've seen in a long time. The lore, the attention to detail is there with, 24 unique towns, each in their own distinctive region. There's 3 per region where each character hails from. It's really just a gorgeous world with gorgeous graphics and a gorgeous soundtrack. To add to the theming that it has got 8 unique characters that I'm sure everyone will love, at least some of them. Now, I'm going to say, you're not going to like every single character in Octopath Traveler, but there's no character that's actually bad. There's no character that I actually just would say is straight up unplayable. All 8 characters are playable in their own right. You've just got to find the ones that suit your style. So, with there only being 8 characters, it may feel like there are only a few limited ways to play with your favorite characters, but because of the subclass system that allows you to customize your characters how you want them to and boost their stats how you want to, and equip the weapons that you want to. The customization that this game affords in terms of the sub-job system and just all the other things that this game has that allow you to customize your characters is absolutely amazing. So maybe you do only like 4 of the total 8 characters. Well, that's okay, because you can actually just mix and match their effects, their abilities, their sub-jobs to what you want in order to play the way that you actually want to play this game. And for that matter, you don't ever have to play with a certain character outside of their main story quest if you don't don't want to. So that's really, really awesome in my opinion. And I just really love the flexibility that this game gives you. This is not a short game, not at all. The shortest amount of time that I've seen any one person manage to beat Octopath Traveler in is 37 hours. That's the absolute fastest anyone has beaten the main story with. And even then, that person did not actually go on to find the final boss of the game, which, I will say this, is not actually in the main story. You have to go hunt for the final boss. The final boss is a hidden boss. You have to go find him once you've completed every character's main story. And it's a really innovative system. And some people don't like it, but some people do. I personally think it's really interesting. But one thing that I've got to say is that these characters that have all these different stories, they don't build to a final thing unless you go looking for it. Some people, some of the early reviewers, said that Octopath Traveler's 8 characters were all cool and all, but the fact that their stories never intertwined made the game lackluster. But the truth is, the stories actually do intertwine quite a lot, and although I have not yet beaten the final boss of the game, I can already see where the plot is going in terms of the end game, and I'm really excited to actually uncover the secrets that this game has. So maybe you like hunting for a final boss, maybe you don't. That's just a personal thing. I personally like it, and I think it adds to the gameplay experience, but maybe you don't. So, I don't know. It just depends on what you like. So that's pretty much it for the really, really good things that stand out. I wanted to talk quickly about, since this is more of a review, about some of the things that I did not like about this game. Now, the primary thing that I disliked about Octopath Traveler is without a doubt the fact that the main character that you pick for your game is not interchangeable within your party. So what I mean by this is, within your party in Octopath Traveler, you can have any 4 of the 8 characters in your party at one point or another. Well, when you start the game, you pick a starting character, and that starting character cannot leave your party until after you've beaten the game with them, meaning that you can only freely swap in 3 of the characters within your party. Now, for some people, they might say, that's not that big of a deal. For others, that's going to be a pretty big deal. And for me, it is a big deal that you can't switch out your main character. Honestly, there's no reason in the story that you shouldn't be able to swap out your main characters. There's absolutely none whatsoever. And honestly, it diminishes the gameplay effect for me a lot because it severely limits your ability to switch characters in and out until after you've beaten the game. And honestly, it's kind of like once you beat the game, I don't know. Your characters end up not being leveled very evenly, assuming that that's something that you want to do, and you're swapping your other characters in and out, which I assume is what you're going to do. And all in all, I think it really just does diminish the value of the game a lot for me, even though you can eventually switch them out. It's a big penalty for me, and it's something that I personally think should be fixed in an update later on, allowing you to switch in and out your main character, because it seriously is that big of a detriment to the gameplay experience, in my opinion. Now, due to the nature of the combat system, some battles can feel like they take a really long time. And this is only an issue for those of you who do not appreciate grinding. Some people love the experience of grinding out levels, others do not. And if you're a person that does not enjoy grinding, honestly, why are you playing a JRPG in the first place? But if you are a person who's kind of like, I like JRPGs but not necessarily the grinding, I do have good news for you. This game is significantly less grindy than just about any other JRPG that is out there. But that being said, sometimes the battles can take a while, even at lower levels, due to the fact that the nature of the combat system where you have to break your enemy down before you can actually deal damage. But not an issue for me, but I know it's an issue for some people. One other thing that I wanted to mention that may or may not be an issue for some people is the story heaviness of some of the chapters. Some of the chapters include a lot, and I do truly mean a lot of story and very little action. Now, it's not one character has a ton of story, the others don't. It's pretty evenly spread throughout the chapters, throughout the characters, but not throughout the chapters. For example, some characters may see a ton of story in their final chapter, others may not see a ton of story in their final chapter, but rather saw all that story in the first half of their story. So it just depends. But seriously, the reason that the one guy was able to beat the game in 37 hours is because he skipped all the story. Personally, it took me about 60 hours to beat the story, 57 to be exact, and that was 20 hours added on just because I actually wanted to pay attention to the story and complete a few side quests. So if you're into story, then okay, this is not an issue, but if you're not into the story, then this is probably not the game for you, just due to the nature of how story heavy this game is. And honestly, I think a lot of the enjoyment comes from each character's individual stories, at least in my opinion. Again, this is all opinionated, but seriously, if you're someone who doesn't enjoy story, it's probably not right for you. This game is overall, again, one of the best turn-based RPGs that I've ever played, and I absolutely am enamored with this game. It's a gorgeous game, and a really and truly one of my favorite Switch games that is released so far. It's up there, y'all. It is up there. I love it a lot. This game is very, very good. But that being said, it is not without its flaws. It is story-heavy in some situations. It can have a few issues with its battle system. Sometimes the gear does not make a whole lot of sense. The gear progression is weird. And what I mean by that is, like, it has an optimize button, and the optimize button makes no sense whatsoever, and sometimes it's just hard to understand some of the mechanics of this game. But again, I don't think that'll be a problem for seasoned veterans, but it is definitely a game that you'll have to pay more attention to than just a standard, you know, hack and slash game. But I think that's just what comes with a turn-based RPG. A lot of it does come down to personal preference, but still, the biggest and I think most undeniable issue with this game is the fact that you cannot switch out your main character from your party. Honestly, that by itself is enough to knock the game down a full rating point, in my opinion, because it's that big of a glaring issue and is that much of a quick fix. There are a few other minor issues with the game, which I have just named, although a lot of those do, again, come down to personal preference. But that being said, I rate this game overall at an 8.5. And again, it would get a full rating point back, making it a 9.5 if they just fix the character not being swappable. It's that big of a glaring issue. Maybe you won't find a problem with it, but it is definitely big enough of an issue for me to bump the game down an entire point just for that glaring issue. Call it petty, call it what you want, but that is my personal opinion. But again, that being said, Octopath Traveler, seriously, this is a great game. Highly, highly, highly recommend picking this game up. It's already shipped well over 1 million copies. It sold 1 million copies in under a month. That's pretty amazing for a game such as Octopath Traveler. Games in the JRPG genre do not typically sell anywhere near this many copies, especially for a console that is still in a relatively young point in its life cycle and released exclusively for said console. So seriously, don't miss this game if you're into turn-based RPGs, because you will not regret this buy. Anyways though, this has been Portalmaster 9351. Thank you guys so much for watching my review of Octopath Traveler. Please leave any feedback that you guys might have about this review down in the comments section, as I am still attempting to get better at reviewing games. But seriously, this is a game I felt like I needed to cover just because of how great it is. But like I said, that's all for now. This has been Portalmaster 9351. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and also tell me down in the comments what your opinions on this game are, assuming you've already picked it up. So feedback and opinions down in the comments. Before I go though, I wanted to send a huge shout out to all my patrons on Patreon, especially Liam Corner, The Collector Creepypasta, and Portal Power TV. But that is all for now, so I'll see you guys next time.